Hey there, Internet. So, I've put this app together. It's a game library tracking app. So what that means is, think of it like a spreadsheet where you can add games into it and keep track of what you're collecting. So this is for collectors. So you go to places like boot fairs or to a shop or to a show, trade show, Play Blackpool, things like that. And you'll get there and you say, oh, look, there's that game. Wait a minute. Have I already got it? Now, if you're like me and you have a big collection, so my collection is about 2,000 plus, you start to lose track of all of the games you've got. Especially if you get some, some more common ones like Spectrum and Commodore and things like that, and you've got lots of tapes or you've got lots of Mega Drive games. Anyway, blah blah blah. So I made this app to try and keep track of it. So this is the login screen. Now, it's only the very first iteration. The reason for this video is for suggestions, for feedback, and there's going to be lots and lots of development. So to get to the app, it's really simple. It's www.ogdb.co.uk. So it's ogdb.co.uk. So that's opengamesdatabase.co.uk. This is the login screen. Obviously, you don't have an account yet, so you can click on sign up, and then you just fill in your email address. So that will be your account login. Your display name, which isn't used yet, but it will be in the future. So I've got some ideas around being able to publish your lists, and maybe do a bit of trading in the future where you can put items on, like Facebook groups where you advertise items. Well, maybe you can do it through the app, if you've got doubles or whatever. And then just your password. And then once you have your account, you can then use it to log in. And then you're taken to the home screen. So at the top here, you have your different menu items. You have your home screen, you have your library, and this is all of the games that are in your library, the ones you've added. And then you've got add game, and this is where you can contribute to the database. And that's the key point here. So at the moment, all of my personal games are on this database. So I've sat down, typed them all in, and as I say, there's about 2,000 I've put on there. Obviously, it's not every game. It's nowhere near every game. Obviously, there's 100,000 games out there. So, so you can add your own. And when you add your own, and here it is here, this is the screen. It's pretty simple. You put in a title, you put in the platform that it belongs to, and if there's any platforms missing here that you collect for, let me know and I'll add it to the list. You put your genre, so you can say what kind of game it is. Like, is it an action platformer, for instance? The year of release, if you can get that, and the region that you've got, like if it's a PAL or NTSC, for instance. Okay, so that's adding a game. When you add it, it then says, do you want to add another, and then you get to fill the form in again. So what I will be doing is adding a spreadsheet upload option, so you can add lots at once. But at the moment, it's just one at a time. Okay, so when you add a game, it will be added into the database, but you won't be able to find it by default. So if I show you for an example then, so if we say Sonic here, you can see here there's a few Sonic games that I've got, and they're there by default. However, there are other games that have been added. There was I saw one, I think it was Absolute, something like that, Absolute, and it's not showing. Do you see here you've got Hitman Absolution, but this, I think it was called Absolute Racing or Absolute Space, something like that, and it was added by a user, and you see they're filtered out by default because they've not been approved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have what's the word, curators, and what they'll be able to do is approve the games, and once the game's been approved, the right system, the right title, the right year, and if we go into publisher and developer, all of that information, once it's been approved, it will no longer be able to be edited. But while it's still owned by the user, they'll still be able to edit it. However, we don't currently have an editing function, so we'll get onto that. So to show user added games, you just tick this box here which it says search user added games, and then you click search, and now you can see there it is. Absolute Supercars was the name of the thing. So that's how you search for games. So you type in part of the word, doesn't matter what part it is. So if I type in Batman, for instance, you can see that brings up the Adventures of Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. So it doesn't have to start with Batman, it just contains the word that you search for. At the moment, it's title only that it searches for. So I'll get on to the questions I've had in a minute. Now, it's really, really simple to use. All you do is you search for the game, and if it's there, you just click the Add to Library. It will go green, and then that now is in your library. And up the top here, you get a little thing saying it was added to the library. And then if you want to remove it, you can then just click Remove from Library. See? Very, very simple. So when you're out and about, you can say, have I got this game? So there's two ways of doing it. You can either search for the games to see whether or not you've got it, and it will go green if you have, or you can click on My Library, and that will bring up just your games. So these are all the games that you have, you see. So there they all are there, and it has a filter at the top here. So if you then start to type, let's see if we can make this something a bit more. Well, let's do the Batman again. So as you type, it will filter down in real time, you know, almost instantly as you type, down to filter out just those games. So if you want to quickly see if you've got something, then you'll be able to do that. Now the reason I've done that is because I want to make this page offline. So when you're in a boot fair and you're in the middle of nowhere and you want to search for a game, you've got no connection, you've got, you know, poor communication where you are, you can't get a mobile phone signal because it's out in the field, then this page I'd like to keep it so it works offline, which is the reason that I've built this filter into this page. So everything gets stored here in a way that it will work offline. Anyway, that's for the future. And that's it. That's it so far. So you've got your home screen where you can search and tick the box to search for user added content. You've got your library where you can see all of your library, and then you've got the add game where you can contribute to the database. They're the three functions so far. So I've had some questions, so I'm going to answer those now. So the first question is, what platforms does it cover, and can you add your own? Well, the platforms are all platforms are here. These ones that I've added here are all the ones that I have in my personal collection. So it may look a bit strange when you go through it all and you say, these are some interesting consoles to choose. You know, why don't you have a 32X, or I have got a 32X. But for some reason, there it is. You know, there may be a console that you have that I don't, and because of that, it's not in my list. So let me know, and then we can add it. But you can't add the platforms, but I can. So just send me a message, and I can add that. Next question is, does it have the ability to add artwork at all? Now, yes and no. So at the moment, your interface that you see here, you can't add the artwork. But the database, I've built it so that it can take the artwork. So eventually, in the future, the answer to that is yes. That is a feature that's going to be coming. It doesn't currently do it. It says the search criteria could use a platform search. And I think there's also leads on to another question, which is also game titles by first letter would be useful instead of the exact title. Okay, so the game titles, so two questions was there. One is to be able to filter. So, for instance, at the moment, as I say, when you search for Batman, it brings up Batman. But if you type in PS3, it doesn't bring up anything because it's only searching on the title of the game. So what would be good is to have like an advanced filter, maybe underneath, and when you click it, it brings up some other options: search by title, search by publisher, search by year, and so on. So, however, the second question there was get it to display by title. Now it does in a way, and what I mean by that is it. Well, this is not a good example because of all. Oh no, yes, it's a bad example. So let's do a better example. Maybe something with the word super in it. There you go, because there've been lots of supers. So here we go. It does it by title. However, it does it by console first. So you see the Acetronic there is before Amstrad. So first of all, it's all the Acetronics games, and then look, 1, 2, 3 Amstrad games in the correct order. You see, and then the Commodore games in the correct order, and so on, going down. So it may be a bit strange at first. However, if you're saying, "Oh, I'm looking for Super Off-Road for the Nintendo Entertainment System," well, I can see it here for Sega Mega Drive. However, I want it for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So if I go up, there it is for the Sega Master System, and then if I go up further, there it is for the Nintendo. And because Nintendo becomes before Sega, do you see? So it's just alphabetical with the console, and then it's alphabetical for the title. But yes, absolutely, it would be good to have maybe an advanced button and then a tick box to filter out the different consoles. But at the moment, you can just scroll through to the console, and then you're then in the alphabetical order for that console. Okay, so next question is ultimately it's a front end for a database. Is that correct? Yes, it is a front end for a database. So at the back end, it's a database, which means we can put any data in there. So I think there was a question about publishers and developers and other information about the games. All of that has been built into the database, but it's just not displayed on the screen. So again, this is features that will be coming, but at the moment this is what we have. It says, would it be possible to create a home screen with platforms as a go-to point for selections for add-in? Okay, so that's a good question. So when we go to add the game, instead of doing a drop-down for selecting your platform, the question is, can we create a home screen before we get to the screen where you just click on Nintendo NES and then you just put the title straight in? You don't have to then go and look for the platform that you're adding it for. So it's like bypassing this, almost like a workflow, I suppose. You could bypass that again. So you could click on the platform, then you could maybe click on the genre, and then click on the year, and then click on the region, and take you down that workflow. And then at the very end, you could then just type in the title. So different ways of entering the same information. So I'll wait for more feedback about that, what people's thoughts are about that. But there's nothing wrong with having both the direct add game screen and a system select screen. So that's good. What was the next question? Then of course you can come up with some nice artwork to make it look a bit unique. Yep. So if you had the game screen, the screens, then you could have some nice artwork. Next one is game cover art and product code. I assume product code is like the barcode, to make it easy to zap the barcode. It is possible to do. I'll see if I can get some more interest in that before I start looking into being able to read your camera on your phone and put in the barcode through that way. But cover art, a definite yes, and screenshots as well, I think would be good with that. It says I can search with a minimum of 2 letters, so that's a good point. Well, that's great, thanks. I did do a minimum of 2 letters only because I didn't want to bring back the whole database. I've also removed wildcard searches as well. So if you go into here and you tried to do a wildcard search, it would come back with nothing, because obviously I don't want the entire database coming across. I mean, obviously it wouldn't affect the server, but it could cause issues with the app on your end, and I wouldn't want that to happen by accident. So what else is here? There is no tab for publisher. Yes, there is in the back end, but I've not displayed it on the screen because I wanted to just get a bit of feedback first to say, you know, how much detail do you want to go into? Do we want to add publisher? Do we want to add developer? Is it going to be a free type text for publisher? Is it going to be a submission, or is it going to be a pre-filled drop down like I currently have with the console names? So again, feedback please. You know, if you're watching this video and you've got this far, that would be really useful. It says absolute shows only if you have. Oh right, so this is a question about how the how this button works. So yeah, again, when you click this box, it will show you user added games in your search, as well as the approved games. Without ticking that box, it will only show those that are approved. And the idea is that our people will join in with this to be curators. They'll volunteer to say that they'll go in, they'll have a list of all these are the games. Do you approve of these titles? You press a button to say, or tick a box to say, yep, I agree with all of these. These all look good, and then they'll get into the approved list. Because what happens is that there may be some games that you do have in your collection, but are not maybe mainstream, or not mainstream as such, but maybe not officially official. You know, like say you're at college or university, you've made some indie games, they've not been released, but you'd like to keep track of them anyway. Well, why not? You know, put them in here. We can mark them as process, but we can also say, you know, don't put them into the official search database because they're not games that people can collect. But you know, it's what we don't want is the database getting filled up with things that are not, you know, approved. Only because we want to try and keep it as clean as possible with as least maintenance as possible. So by being able to filter out the user generated ones, you know, once they're approved, they get added into the list. And I think I've explained that enough. Let's move on to the next one. I also noticed that the PAL region says EU. Okay, so that was a good point. So there was it was the absolute here. So what one of the testers noticed was that this game says PAL EU and this game says PAL Europa Oceania. And the reason for that is that this game was generated by a user, where this game was generated by my spreadsheet uploader. So I entered my games with a spreadsheet and I used the uploader, but I've not added the uploader as an interface yet. So in my spreadsheet, my games were listed down as default as PAL EU. However, obviously when a user has then created a game, they've had to select from the drop down, and this is what the drop down says. So that's why there's a difference there. What I'll do is I'll go into the database, I'll update all of my ones so it then matches the drop down list. So that would just be a database update at some point. Okay, so let's see. Finally, I added the year of release, no search function. So again, being able to search by year of release, so you type in 2012 and it will come up with all the 2012 titles. Okay, sounds like so an advanced search with lots of options. I think that's the general gist is what we're going with here. It's again, cover art is another question there. Can we have cover art? Yep. Do we have the capacity to store all of the data? Yes, I've got. So it's currently being stored on a big cluster. It's 10 machines with 64 terabyte NAS connected to it. So more room than you could ever use on cover art. You could fill it up forever, and it wouldn't even touch it. So it says. Is the game add feature live to contribute to the database? Yes, it is absolutely live. You can go ahead right now and use it. Any things that you add will be added into there, and they will be kept in there. And the things it's backed up and it's clustered, so it should always be up, except for when I update it. Now, that's an interesting point. The way that this works is once you've loaded it onto the screen, it doesn't load it again. But what it does is it only updates the content on the screen. What that means is that if I take the website down, if you've got it currently loaded in your browser or loaded on your phone, you can continue to use it in that particular version's form, and then when you press the refresh button on your browser, or you pull down on your phone screen, that's when you'll get the next version. So that's how you do your update. Is you like pull down or press the refresh button. Otherwise, you just use the version that you're currently on that was last loaded into your browser. And the last question, I think, here is a really solid idea. the whole community contributes, we can have the database full in a couple of days. Yeah, absolutely. And it says I'm currently using GameEye, but it is solely for NTSC, so not entirely accurate with PAL titles. Yeah, there you go. So I'm trying to keep this, there you go, in the name, Open Games Database, open as possible. So PAL, NTSC, and any other region. Let me know if there's a region missing, and I'll try to get it. Well, try to get it. I will add it in there. Of course, I will. So other things. So I want to make it what's known as a progressive web app, PWA, progressive web app, and what that means is that if you're using something like an Android phone or tablet, you'll get a little pop-up in the corner saying, "Do you want to install?" And then what it will do is it will copy the website to your home screen, and then you can open it full screen like a normal app. Apple has the same functionality, but with an Apple, what you have to do is you have to go into your options and then save it as a favorite, and then that will do the same thing. It will put it as an icon on your desktop. And then what that lets you do is that lets you use it offline. And one of the things that you want to use offline, obviously, is your library, because this is the thing that you're going to use while you're out and about to see whether or not you already have the game. So then you can then say, yes, I will buy that because I am missing that from my collection. And that's it. And then the very, very last button here is, well, just before I click it, if we turn it into a mobile phone, you can see here that the menu resizes, and this is what it would look like on a mobile phone. So if I go into here and I type in, you know, Sonic, there you go. That's what it looks like on a mobile phone. And I don't know if I'm pretty sure I said, but when you add it to your library, it's green, and when it's not in your library, it's grey. I'm going to do other colours, so maybe you can say avoid this game and make it red, for instance. So, but again, feedback, give me feedback, and I will keep adding features. So there you go then, ogdb.co.uk. Last button is log out, takes you back to the login screen. And you don't have to log out. I just, you know, I just put it there, obviously, and away you go. So please let me know, and thanks very much.